Welcome to Squatch-D TV. Exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs, too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, December 17th, 2023. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett.
Steve, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
What's happening, Mr. Chris?
All same old stuff, just trying to keep the dogs in order and trying to keep the electric bill at a rate that we can afford to pay. It's turning cold in Kentucky.
Yeah, well, you've got electric heat, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go out there and watch the meter do this. Woo!
Looks like a flying saucer.
Yeah. I thought about, maybe cranking the fireplace up, but, I just don't want to carry wood and stuff. That's okay.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do that.
It's nice to look at, but, it's, as far as taking out the ashes and bringing in the wood, no, I don't care.
Yep. And, of course, our guest tonight is right down there, Mr. Eric Altman. Hello, Eric.
Good to see you, bud.
And let's do our roll call real quick before we get into this. First in today was Pat Collins. Hello, Patty. Turn the light on for everybody. Walter Kroll.
Walter.
Jay Pachochin in the house.
Hey.
And we got Low Rider, Daniel Weeks.
Low Rider.
Sasquatch Watch Radio. That's Billy.
Billy.
Hello, Billy.
Good to see you, man.
Uncle Bones 2, B. Lynn.
B.
Mr. Federal, Mr. 2505 Federal.
Good to see you, man.
Tennessee Cherokee. Hello. Sharon.
Good to see you back. Hi, Sharon.
B. Lynn is in the house, of course. Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. Good to see you, sir. Mike Ann, Tactical Bigfoot Research in the house.
Mike.
Grasshopper.
Grasshopper.
Finding the Trackway. Bill, what's going on, brother? Jeff Treffoletti, good friend of mine. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Yeah, welcome.
Angel Nolan in the house. Hello, Angel.
Good to see you.
Little Kilroy is squatching his ass off, as he said.
Good deal. Get after it, man.
All right. Going.
Okay.
Pete H in the house, another one of our channel members.
Pete.
Bigfoot Society in the house, also member for 3 months now.
Wow, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support, man. Great.
Kaiju Ninja 1985 is in the house.
Ninja. Good to see you.
Of course, Brian and Chewy go hiking in the house.
Right. Yeah, good to see you, bud.
Give Chewy a pat on the head to us.
Yeah.
So here we are. I think that's our list for right now. I'm sure there's other people who haven't said nothing. And, of course, there's always the latecomers like Mick and the Meatloaf. Okay, Helton, a.k.a. Faster Man, is here.
Everybody's welcome. You can be a lurker. You're more than welcome to lurk.
Lurk.
But, first of all, I wanted to, before we get the show kicked off here,
absolutely,
I wanted to show you my brand new sticker that I got from Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa. This is very nice. Good looking sticker. I'm going to put that on the Sasquatch mobile out there right next to the Squatch Detective stickers.
Here we are.
Thank you, Alyssa.
And another member, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce this.
Well,
looks like an Irish name to me.
I don't know.
Eowyn.
Sure the cat didn't walk across the keyboard? Is that
Eowyn O'Gabenhigh? That's what I'm going to guess.
Well, we love you.
Thanks for being here. And Traveling with Jim is in the house. Hello, Traveling with Jim. Good to see you.
Yeah,
it's our good friend Jim.
Appreciate you, man.
So, yep, Jim was out there scouting our area that night. We did the expedition up to the Adirondacks the day of the Sasquatch.
The one with the did you get the whoop out of that one or?
Yeah, but it wasn't Jim who got that. It was Eric last week. It was on Eric Swanson, who was on last week, that actually caught the whoop. But Jim was up there hearing stuff the whole night. So, yep, here we are. We got Martin McTighe in the house also. So we got a bunch coming in.
Yeah, that's some people coming in.
A lot of new
Welcome,
folks.
guys.
And of course, we've actually had quite a bunch of new subscribers this week, and we would like to welcome you all.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
The other thing is too, we're trying to get some of the additions back up to Spotify, just to cross pollinate a little bit, get some folks over here, and vice versa.
Yeah, we'll get the rest of the podcast going.
And
2024.
Sandwich Siobhan said I got like blocked by Funker today.
Oh man. Well, that's somewhat of a badge of honor, though, isn't it?
I would think so. But anyway, let's catch up with Eric. Eric, how the heck have you been, man?
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
Good, man.
Wonderful.
Good to see you back, too.
Yes, absolutely. So what's been going on the Chestnut Ridge? Anything new or anything exciting going on?
Yeah. We've had a few sightings recently, and we have a new research area that myself, family members, and a few friends are currently working on, pretty hot and heavy. Just trying to keep things under the cover, so to speak, and do the research, getting back to the basics, but still hitting the woods every weekend if I can, or every other weekend. And just keeping myself busy with, stuff going on around here in Pennsylvania.
So, yep. And of course, let's just get right to the nitty gritty. Of course, next year, September 6th and 7th, we have the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Adventure coming back. And that looks like it's going to be a great time. It's always a great time.
Yeah. After the 2019 event, we had planned on doing one in 2021. However, COVID had other plans for us, so we kind of put it on the back burner. And to be honest with you, I really wasn't planning to do a 2024 event. We tried to get something together with Benners in 2023. We met with the former owners, not Mary Lou and John, but they sold Benners to a new entertainment company, if you want to call it that. And we met with the new owners there back in 2022 and tried to put on a couple fundraiser events, but the management there, the management team really weren't receptive and really weren't working with us to try to get things accomplished. So we canceled the 2023 event. And then new owners bought Benners in 2023. And I guess I want to say maybe March or April, I want to say maybe early spring. And I got a message in my Facebook from Benners saying, would you be interested in putting on a Bigfoot event? And I didn't know that there were new owners, so I just kind of wrote it off and ignored it, thinking it was the old owners. And sure enough, they got back to me again and let me know that there were new owners that took over Benners, and a whole brand new management team. And I reached out to all the organizers that were working on putting on the 2023 event and said, hey, we have an opportunity to meet with the new owners, sit down and discuss things. And they were real receptive to it, real interested in having another event. So I said, yeah, well, if you guys are down for it and you can accommodate us and what we need, then we'll definitely bring it back. And we had a ton of people. First, I have to thank all the people who have come in the past, or all the people that have been interested in the event, because from 2019 to present, I've been inundated with requests, emails, messages. When are you bringing the event back? So it was obviously well received, and that kind of played a big role into bringing the event back. And I also got to say thanks to the other organizers. There's a whole bunch of people I could name, but I don't want to forget anybody. So I'll just say thanks to all the other organizers. We've been working hard on putting together another great event. And as you can see in the flyer, and the promotional flyer listed there, we've got 8 speakers coming to the event. We've got 4 special guests coming to the event. We've got 2 workshop presenters coming. We're bringing back the night hikes, vendors, food trucks, auctions. We have a new thing this year coming to the event, which is going to be Sasquatch karaoke.
Karaoke.
If you're a karaoke fan and you would like to sing and Yeah, you don't have to worry about making a fool of yourself because everybody will be making fools of themselves. But it's a new thing we're adding. But we've got yourself, Steve, coming back. We've got Jay Pachochin coming back. And I got to send a quick thanks out to Jay, to my buddy, Jay Pachochin. He's been doing a lot of the graphics for the event, the logos, the video advertisements, anything you see on social media that's out there promoting the event. Jay has done the work for us from Chum Bucket Studio. So thank you, Jay, for that. Yeah, he's done a fantastic
J-Man
amazing.
Jack of all trades there.
He is, and he does amazing words. He does amazing work promoting things and putting things together for us. So thank you, Jay, for that. Thank you, Steve, for agreeing to come back. As I mentioned, Jay Pachochin's coming back. Brian Parsons is coming back. We've got some new speakers coming back. Stan Gordon will be there. Ron Murphy will be coming back. Kenny Biddle is a new addition this year. He is a skeptic, and he writes for the Skeptical Inquirer magazine. And we thought, if we want to do the subject matter correctly and give everybody a well-rounded look from both the perspective of people who research and the people who are skeptics, we thought Kenny would be a good fit for the event. I know I'm missing somebody, but we got Ken Gerhard coming back. We've got Willie and Jeff from the TV show Mountain Monsters coming back. And we've got Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot coming down for the event this year. We had Ron Moorhead scheduled to appear, but he had a schedule conflict. He actually had another event scheduled that he didn't realize, so he had to cancel. But we've got 4 great special guests coming in, 8 great speakers. We've got Brian Bowden and Dave Wickham. They call them Taters. They're going to be doing workshops for us. Yep.
We know Taters.
It's going to be a great time. So we're really excited about it. Tickets are on sale now. And I encourage people to get over to the website and get tickets now, because if you wait too long and they're gone, you're out of luck. So,
and right now I know Mike Hann is coming. He's got his tickets. I know Bill Finding the Trackway is out there, and Jen will be coming down as well. They got their tickets. Cool. They're all super excited about coming down. So we got a few of our members here from Squatch-D TV already planning their attendance. So should be a good time. And I know Sandwich Savant had asked a question if we've been to Ohio. Yes, we have been several times already. Salt Fork and the like around Coshocton when we went down to the Sasquatch Triangle events. So yeah.
Ohio was pretty cool. Salt Fork is a nice place. It's a really nice park. Their accommodations right there in the middle of the park. It's beautiful. Everywhere you look, just woods. They got a nice lake over there. We went to that cookout for Indy. It was really nice. Yeah.
So tell us what in that area of Benners there has been. That's pretty close to That's pretty close to the Chestnut Ridge. That is like within a stone's throw. It's also near Fort Necessity as well, which for all your history buffs, that's where Lieutenant Colonel George Washington had his stand with the French during the French and Indian War, and he ended up surrendering the fort after his General Braddock was killed. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that story. I was at Fort Necessity years before I even knew Benner's Meadows was there. So really a cool area.
I have to look it up. I love history. Fort Necessity. Okay.
But Eric, so tell me, how long has stuff been going on in the Chestnut Ridge area there? Decades.
Decades, yeah. The first documented report that I could find in a newspaper article was about a wild man running around the northern part of the ridge in the late 1800s. I want to say 1869. And there's been everything from strange cryptid creature reports to UFO reports, hauntings. You mentioned Fort Necessity, General Braddock, Lieutenant George Washington. Jumonville Glen, where George Washington had the fight with the French and Indians there. That's where the first battle took place. That's really haunted. And people hear battle sounds from that battle back in the 1700s. They hear war cries. They see apparitions of Native Americans as well as French troops and British troops. And there's been tons of Bigfoot sightings that have taken place at Jumonville Glen. Benner's actually sits on the ridge, the southern end of the ridge. So there's been a ton of sightings around Benner's. And I've even had some personal experiences on the campground hiking around the trails of Benner's. I know, Steve, you've had some experiences not far from Benner's, about a mile or two outside of the campground on the trails that we hike. So, yeah, there's a lot of activity that goes on around the ridge, and it's constant. And you're going to have to get Stan Gordon on the show to talk about some of the most recent cases he's gotten, because the activity that's still ongoing, and I talk with him weekly, and he updates me on what he's getting, and I update him on what I'm getting. It's just nonstop.
And hey, we want to welcome Unidentified Arkansas Phenomenon, new subscriber here. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Make yourself at home, as well as Sandwich Savant, and that's that's kind of a moniker after my taking too. I love a good sandwich.
Well, I love a good Snapple.
Well, he's got. Yeah.
There you go.
You know what's going to happen now.
I'm waiting for it. Yeah.
Joan, get me a Snapple.
Eric and Tom both love Snapples. Well, I wouldn't throw a Snapple away. It's
no,
pretty good stuff.
Very often I too have a Snapple here, but not tonight. I have a Peach Monster and I have my normal diet Poopsie.
Yeah. Well, I've been drinking the sugar-free lemonade tea stuff, and it's not bad. Of course, I'm cheap. Instead of buying a Snapple, I'll buy the $1 for 10 packs of mix. Cheap.
So, Eric, out of all the experiences you have on the ridge, what was the best one you can recall?
There are two actual encounters that I've had up on the ridge. They're probably two of my favorites. One really isn't an encounter. It's a sighting investigation. And I'll tell you about that one in a minute. The other one took place the weekend of Dave Dragason's funeral. Unfortunately, our good friend Dave passed away. Yeah. And it was in August of 2020. And in a tribute to him, the people that attended his funeral, Jimmy and Dee Dee Trick, Jay Bachochin came down, Tom Mihawk, Ricky Chirby, Connie, Chris Brinker, myself. We all got together. And we all decided, in honor of Dave, let's go out into the woods and hit an area where we normally went with Dave. And that evening, we had quite a bunch of different things happen on the way in to this. And you've been on the pipeline there, yep. Steve, so you're familiar with the area. On the way in, Ricky Chirby was leading the group in, and he stopped his Jeep abruptly and jumped out of the driver door and was standing up, looking up over the roof of his Jeep down into this wooded area that had been clear cut. And he said, I don't know if I saw a bear or something, but something brown was standing up down there in that field. And we all stopped and got out and looked, and we didn't see anything. He said, I don't know if it was a bear just standing up on its hind legs for a few seconds, but something was down there. And that kind of started our night. We drove back to the power line, sat on the power lines for several hours. We heard some strange, distant screams or high-pitched wailing, if you want to call it that. And that was really about what we experienced that evening there. But the excitement didn't happen until we were on our way back to the main road. And I was leading the caravan of about 6 or 7 vehicles out to the main road. And we were probably about a quarter of a mile, maybe 500 yards from the main road. And we come up over this little crest of a hill. And my high beams caught these really large, bright orange eyes about 9 feet off the ground in this brush to the left side of my vehicle, probably about 50 yards ahead of me. And I was just shocked because these eyes were there and they quickly disappeared down almost at a 45-degree angle to my left. And I was like, holy crap, did you guys see that? And I had Jay Bachochin and Tom Mihawk in the truck with me. And of course, they were looking at, I thought I left a piece of equipment on in the back seat. I was seeing a light. So they didn't see it, but their attention was looking for this light in my truck. And I saw the eye shine very quickly. And I stopped the truck and got out and started walking towards this bush where I'd seen it. And as we came to a stop, several deer crossed the road right where the eye shine was. I already seen this eye shine in this bush. And I ran back to all the vehicles and I asked them, did you see what I had seen? You know, the eye shine, bright orange, very large, wide set apart eyes, very high in this brush. And they kind of went down at a 45-degree angle and disappeared. Well, while we were all standing out there talking, I was quite worked up because I wasn't expecting to see that. And as we're walking back and forth between the vehicles and stuff, my sister and brother-in-law got out of their vehicle and they were standing along the side of the road, and she had heard what she claimed was a very loud grunt coming from the thick brush to the left where I'd seen the eye shine move towards. And if that's not as strange, we had about 3 or 4 doe move across the road. As I mentioned, when I stopped the truck, we saw them in the high beams, and they went down behind the brush where this eye shine was. And we were all just making a lot of noise, running back and forth with flashlights, thermal flares out looking. And my brother-in-law, Chris, Tom Mihawk, and Ricky Chirby decided to investigate this brush to see if they could see any footprints, any broken branches or whatever. And they noticed the deer that had run behind the brush were standing there 10 feet away, looking off in this direction towards their right. And they weren't moving. And they would look back. They knew we were there. They looked back at the group. Yeah, what makes it really strange is because they stood there for almost 20 minutes. Right. And they kept looking back at us and then looking away to their right, like they were looking at something in the woods that we couldn't see. Right. And we were making all kinds of noise. We were trying to take measurements, look to see if there was footprints. I was in the bush. And even Tom tried to get down into the grass to move closer. Ricky tried to get closer to the deer. They didn't move. They weren't spooked by us at all. They just stood there, and they obviously knew there was some kind of predator in the distance to their right, because they kept looking at it, staring intently at it. Then they looked back at us, and we were just kind of like, that's really odd behavior for deer, because usually if they hear a person, they're going to scamper off away. Right. Well, eventually they did move on, but they moved on very, very slowly and very, very cautiously, almost like they were hunkered down in the high grass, trying to hide from something. So we were there talking back and forth, trying to see this in the thermal flare. We couldn't really see anything. I thought I saw a shape, but it turned out to be a bush in the thermal. So we decided, let's move down to the main road, hang a left, and go in the direction of where these deer were looking to see if perhaps we could see anything else. So as a caravan, we drove down to the end of the road, made a left, went down to maybe 100, 200 yards and stopped. And we were in a direct line from whatever was in that bush, what the deer were looking at. And we got out and we were talking amongst ourselves and shining flashlights down into the trees and stuff. And Tom just blurted out, he's like, I see eye shine. I see eye shine. And I'm like, I don't see it. And he grabbed me and pulled me over right in front of him. And just as he did, I saw 2 bright eyes move just real slowly and methodically behind the trees, as if it was pulling a head back and moving away. And we didn't see anything else that night, but we were quite worked up about it. I believe Jay Bachochin actually released a social media video on it a couple days after it happened, showing the aftermath and everything involved. But that was probably one of the craziest experiences I had up there, is seeing just these 2 huge orange eyes looking back at me for just a few split seconds before it disappeared down into the thick grass and whatever it was vanished. My speculation on it is I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking we surprised a possible ambush. And what I mean by that is whatever was in that bush was waiting for those deer to cross the road. And the high beams hit it, and it moved out of that bush pretty quickly, because just as it did, the deer crossed the road right in front of our vehicles. So we're thinking maybe something was hiding in that bush waiting for those deer to come out, and we interrupted it.
And it seems to me almost like they were using you as like, okay, we feel safe around you guys, that perhaps it'll keep it from coming towards you.
That's odd that the deer would feel less threatened by humans than it was feel threatened by whatever was over in the woods. You know, that's kind of odd behavior.
Yeah,
almost like they felt protected.
That's what we thought too.
Yeah,
like they were using us as a buffer to keep whatever was in the tree line away from us, because they kept looking real intently and they weren't about to take off. They were just staying there. Almost 20 minutes they stayed there. We did go back the next day and we looked for tracks, but that grass was so high and so overgrown with thick weeds and brush. We had a hell of a time moving around in that stuff. We didn't find any impressions, didn't find any footprints or anything like that when we went back.
Lowrider, you are right. The chat is hopping. I'm sorry I'm distracted here because I'm listening to Eric. When Eric starts talking, he's just like E.F. Hutton. Everybody wants to listen. He has my full attention, but we love you guys. And if I miss anything, just type it in caps.
E.F. Hutton, we earn money the old-fashioned way. We steal it. No,
I see somebody's here. Hey, Mick. Good to see you, Mick. Thank you.
So somewhere out there, Jay does have a video of all these shenanigans going on.
Yeah, he has the aftermath video of me running around. Like I was so hyped up from what I had seen. I was just running around aimlessly from car to car to truck, just yelling, "Oh my God, did you see that? Did you see that?" Because I was just so pumped up that seeing that. We took a measurement where the eyes were at the top of that brush, and they were over 9.5 feet tall. So we were really excited about that. But yeah, he does have a video out there. I'm sure he'd be happy to share it with you if you ever want to see it.
Yep. Eric, the second time you saw the eye shine, was it also orange or was it a different color?
It was a different color. And I didn't have my high beams from my truck at this point. I just had a low power flashlight. So the eyes that I saw the second time were bright white. And
was it?
I just saw them as the head moves.
Right. Was the flashlight you were using, was that an LED light? Do you remember LED flashlight?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, good. that jives with what we were talking about earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the sighting that I investigated, if you want to hear about that, that happened in May of 2021. And it's a little bit of a long story, but I'll try to cut it down a little bit. Went to bed the night before because it was a Friday going into a Saturday. And I leave my phone on the nightstand and next to my bed. And I heard a ding, and I picked it up and looked at the person who sent me a message. And all it said was, "You're not going to believe what I just saw." And I looked at the message and put the phone back down and went to sleep. Well, the next morning, about 6:30, I got up, looked at the phone again, and I replied. And I said, "What did you see?" And the person who sent me the message replied and said, I swear I saw a Bigfoot." And knowing who the person was and is, I was kind of like, yeah. So I didn't really put too much stock into it. But as I continued to talk to her and she explained the situation, I thought, well, maybe I better go down and check this out. So this person agreed to meet with me. And we drove, my son and I drove down to the location where she had her sighting. And she is a paramedic. She's been a paramedic for almost 20 years now, if not longer. And what happened that night is she explained to me, her and her partner were coming down Route 711 towards a little town called Indian Head. And as they were driving along this roadway, they saw something about 125 feet ahead of them in their bright lights. They were doing about 45, 50 miles an hour. And this thing ran across the road in 3 steps and went up an embankment. And as she explained to me, it was taller than the ambulance. And they sit about 7 feet off the ground in the cab of the ambulance. So it was taller than them. And as it ran across the road, as she explained, it looked like like if you've ever seen an Olympian high jumper, how they make those 3 quick jump like steps with their legs before they make the high jump. That's the kind of motion it made as it ran across the road. And it took 3 steps across the road and went up this really steep embankment and disappeared. And it's just as they passed it, they got this really horrid smell of like a dead animal. And it only lasted for a few seconds. It dissipated. And as they continued driving down the road, she mentioned that they had like a power loss in the cab of the ambulance. Like all the electronics inside the cab went off. And as they continued driving, it came back on again. So I went down the next morning with my son. We investigated. We took measurements of the road. The road measured 24 feet wide. So it took 3 strides across the road, 8-foot strides to get across that road.
Right.
We did find a trail going up into the embankment, into the wooded area. We looked around the woods. We found really nothing discernible other than impressions in the ground. And as I went back we parked on the side of the road, we went back to her vehicle, and we were talking with her. We had heard 2 very loud, almost 3, I think it was, high-pitched, shrill screams come off the opposite hillside to the left where she had originally seen the animal cross the road. And I pretty much at that point convinced that she had seen what she claimed she'd seen. And I eventually got to talk to her partner, who's the paramedic driving the ambulance, and he validated everything. And, that's what she claimed she saw, he saw. And I make a joke about this when I speak in public, and she's probably going to hate me for this, but for close to 26 years, I've been looking for Bigfoot and researching and investigating cases, and I've never seen one. And my sister, of all people, has the luck of seeing one before me. So I hate my sister.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
No, I don't hate her. She knows that. But that's the joke I make is, I've been looking all this time and have never seen one, but she's out nonchalantly driving back to the station, and one runs across in front of her ambulance. But yeah, very believable. I have no doubt she saw what she claimed she saw run across the road. And that area where she's at, we've been focusing our research in that area, not far from where she had her sighting. About a year later, as a matter of fact, I was up at the Sasquatch Triangle event, Steve, that you and I had attended. And in the hotel room that night, I got a message from her that popped up on my Facebook Messenger saying, "You're not going to believe this." And I was like, "Oh, please don't tell me you had another sighting." But it turned out a fireman that works at the same fire station and ambulance station where she does had a sighting about 3 miles down the road, almost a year later to the date when she had hers. So we investigated that case too. And that creature we estimated to be over 11 foot tall.
Yeah, it happens. People don't tend to believe that these things can get that big. Well, first of all, they don't believe they exist. And then second of all, they don't believe they can get that big, but I believe it.
Okay, let's get to a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Tack, Mike Ann has, what is the craziest thing that Eric has seen at the Ridge? Craziest.
The strange self-luminescent glowing orbs in the tree line.
Seen those too.
I've seen them on a couple of different occasions.
That was the first time I think I've ever seen those. Really, was when I was with you at Benner's Meadow, and we kept seeing them. It was kind of weird.
I think Eric is haunted.
And Siberia Visitor says, "What type of vehicles do you travel in?" Maybe it's not for you. Sorry.
Hummer.
Yeah. What kind of vehicles did you travel in that were cars, trucks? Yeah.
Well, if you're asking about the night that I saw the eye shine, I was in a Dodge Ram 1500. I believe Ricky was in a Jeep. My sister and brother-in-law were in a Jeep. Jimmy and Dee Dee Trick I think were in a all-wheel drive. I can't remember the make and model of it, but there were about 5 or 6 vehicles with us, and they were all either pickup trucks or Jeeps or maybe a Wrangler. I'm not sure what Jimmy and Dee Dee were driving, but that's what we were driving that night.
Eyes in the Woods asked what color orbs. I believe they were kind of whitish.
Yeah, the ones that I've seen, several different colors, and I've seen them in different locations on more than one occasion. I've seen red, white, bluish green, a light blue, and a green colored orb in different spots. And some have been associated with possible Bigfoot activity. Some have not. So I don't know if there's a connection with those two or not, but who knows?
Well, I tell you, the ones on the river around here are white and like a light white blue. You know what I mean? Like it's so white, it's got a bluish tint to it. So that's something that actually lines up. Pipeline orbs.
Yeah, I don't know if such a thing exists.
Well, yeah, I think that there's a lot to that, and a lot of people have different theories. And I've got a theory. I believe it's something to do with natural gas and radon gas, air gas bubbles. But you know, really a weird thing. Marfa, Texas, is really famous for that. You can go see the Marfa lights. You know, I think they're seen on a regular basis. And I do believe they have a large deposit of natural gas there too. Maybe a large deposit of radioactive material.
Brian asked who's going to win the sword fight. And Billy asked,
I'm remaining unbiased.
ball lightning, but there was no real atmospheric conditions going on at that time. The time we saw the orbs. I mean, it was a clear night. So
no, it's not lightning. No.
Man.
I don't know what it is, but it's not lightning.
Yeah, and it wasn't like in a like ball lightning tends to go by quickly and in a direction. This kind of just like,
and you know the nice thing about the orbs,
it just kind of floated.
Yeah, is it's not like something that hasn't been proven to exist. I mean, it's common acceptance that the orb things exist, whatever they are, but there's no good scientific explanation for it.
Right. Weird.
I don't know what they are, and I'm not going to try to speculate what they are. I know I've seen them in several different locations, some near power lines, some not near power lines, some near gas lines, some not near gas lines.
Right.
I have no idea.
I mean, the ones we saw were in the tree lines.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they can do some weird things. It's almost like they got a mind of their own. Isn't that weird?
Mike says, it wasn't lightning, but Billy says, don't get me wrong, I've seen them here, but I try not to look too much into them, and I don't either. Like that's interesting.
Not related. I don't think it's related either, Billy.
No, because I think Chris and I have seen them in Kentucky without any Bigfoot activity going on or any. We were just in an area, and there's like we see a quick ball of light, and that was it. Like, what the hell?
They happen down next to Green River really, really often. I mean, matter of fact, you can probably go see it on a nightly basis in the sun.
Right. And even finding the trackway, you seen one?
Yeah, about the size of a basketball or volleyball, whatever, soccer ball. Sometimes they're a little smaller. Never seen one bigger than that. But
I think the ones we saw were like the size of baseballs. They weren't very large, but they weren't. They were noticeable. But fascinating phenomena nonetheless, but not really related. And what I love about
it's just one of the weird things that happens on the ridge.
Yeah. Well, there's been a number of UFO sightings on the ridge as well.
Yeah, I've seen my share of strange things in the sky around the ridge, and heck, I had a video. I sent it to you on Facebook, Steve, that I saw standing in my backyard in January of 2023. That I still have no idea what it was, and I'm not a UFO researcher. I have an interest in the subject. I think it's fascinating, but I don't go actively investigating it. I sent it to Stan to look at, and he's convinced it's not a plane. So who knows?
Now the funny thing is there's been an interest in the Jan Clement story again recently. Got a couple of emails on that, and of course the Jan Clement story originated from the Chestnut Ridge, but to reiterate that we have found very strong concrete evidence that the story was fabricated by John Domical.
That was fiction.
Yeah. There was even a pseudonym filed in the United States Library of Congress that even said that Jan Clement was a pseudonym of John Tomical.
Yeah.
So yeah, not necessarily. I mean, John Tomical was a fiction writer and a science writer as well, because he was an earth science teacher. So he did come off with having a lot of knowledge about science. Mm-hmm. And if you look in the book, his autobiography, John Tomical's life, kind of paralleled what Jan Clement's life was as well. Yeah. And almost to the point where they got divorced the same year. They were in Korea. They were both in the army. They both were science teachers. They way too much to say that Jan Clement was somebody other than John Tomical. So,
our good friend Ryan Cavallini did a documentary film on the Jan Clement story that you were in.
Yep.
And he actually got to meet John and talk with him. And John's denied it all the way up to his deathbed that he was Jan Clement. But you have to wonder, the story, the way it's written, if maybe perhaps John spent some time down there in Kentucky Knob in Fayette County, maybe even owned a cabin down there. That he came up with the story, because the lore and the sightings of Bigfoot in that area date back prior to him writing that book.
Sure.
So maybe he got wind of it from newspaper articles and decided to come up with the story. I don't know.
That was very clear, because in the book itself it mentions Stan Gordon. I don't know if you realize that.
Most writers have a secluded place they go off to think about things and write.
Now here's the interesting thing. When I did the overhead, there were some references in the book, The Creature. And when I started doing some overhead references, I actually thought I had found the property, because there was a cabin there that had burned down, and I'd found a burned out cabin on a property with a pond. And when I showed, and I can thank Dave Drageson for leading me to Bob Gratson, who lives in the area, who's an entomologist. And I talked with Bob Gratson, and he turned around and said that, hey, that area there you pointed out is known as Clements Point, which I found like, what? So that may be even where Tomical came up with the name of Jan Clement, from Clements Point, and obviously there's the property. So it started to make all this sense, that all the puzzle pieces were fitting together, that this was a very elaborate, yet very well-crafted story.
Oh, mostly, yeah.
Yeah, it was science fiction. It wasn't really science.
We got a little bit on the outside edge of believability there every now and then.
Well, it's because he's using real geological references.
Yes.
Which some authors do. They will use geological references they know of to enhance a story.
And an interesting little side note, the camping adventure is only about 3 miles away from Kentucky Knob. So it's literally within a stone's throw of where the story supposedly took place.
Right. Yep.
That was cool. Yep. See, if the story is real, bring a shovel. You might find a grave. You never know.
Yeah, he buried it with, I believe, a wheel hub.
Yeah.
So
bring a metal detector.
Find it. Yeah, bring a metal detector.
Dig here.
And I feel real bad, because I know Dave Drageson was really hot on that for a while, of where it was buried on the West Virginia-Pennsylvania border.
Yeah.
Rabbit homesteading. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. We all need to quit smoking. No doubt there. Yeah, so people have been asking me questions about that lately too, because it popped up again, and I'm like going, hope you folks know that this is all just it's a well-crafted story. That's all it is.
Mm.
Yeah, it really is an interesting story. There's some interesting aspects of it. I don't want to give it away, because if people want to read the book, it's called The Creature, and it's written by a pseudonym, Jan Clement. But there are some interesting things in there that all the years I've been researching and studying the phenomenon, I've never heard of a Bigfoot making love to a cow. That's the first for me. So
Eric, I wasn't going to go there, but you're right. That was the part that was
weird.
Yeah, that stretched the imagination, the gullibility point. They're like, oh no.
I guess if you're Bigfoot and you're lonely, any port in a storm.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Lord. Well, you definitely don't want to be Bigfoot's prom date, for sure.
No.
But, I had some questions, too. Okay, Chestnut Ridge. It's called Chestnut Ridge because it has a large number of chestnuts, or did have at one time?
It did at one time. In the 1800s, it was known for its abundant crop of chestnut trees. And unfortunately, blight came in and wiped out the entire population of trees. And that's how it got its name, the Chestnut Ridge. It's actually the furthest western ridge of the Allegheny Mountains, or it's part of the Appalachian Mountains, if you will. And you can see it there on the map that it's where you see the star showing Chalk Hill. That's about where the Benner's campground is. But to the left of it, that ridge that runs down, you see Mount Pleasant, Connellsville, Dunbar, Uniontown, Hopwood, Fairchance, all the way into Morgantown, West Virginia. It's like 80 miles in length, running southwest to northeast, and several miles wide. And a lot of the phenomena that takes place between that ridge and the ridge to the east, the Laurel Ridge. So that area there is just a really crazy area with all kinds of weird activity. A lot of Bigfoot sightings over the years.
Well,
tons and
what
tons
about
of Bigfoot sightings.
What about pine trees or evergreens? Are there very many in that area?
There are some, yes. A lot of rhododendrons. That seems to be like the plant that inhabits most of the ridge is rhododendrons. But there are pine trees and pine groves and a lot of forested area in the Forbes State Forest.
Like in Kentucky, man, we have a lot of hardwood trees, and then you'll run up on a small area of pines, and then, it goes back to the hardwood trees. It's like they're clumped together in small areas throughout the hardwood forest.
Yeah, that's how it is on the ridge.
That's something I'm always interested in. Any place that had a lot of Bigfoot sightings, are there evergreen trees available around somewhere for wintertime use and stuff? Because it's hard to stay hidden in the wintertime when all the leaves are gone. But if you go into an evergreen area, pines or cedars or something like that, there's always hiding spots.
Yep.
One of the most amazing stories, I think, to come out of the area, actually a couple of stories, was one that Dave Drag had brought out, was when he was doing the sketches of the one with either cleft lip or cut lip. And that years later, that same Sasquatch emerged. Somebody had seen the same one. And it had the same. That was a phenomenal story. And, I know that somewhere I have a video of him talking about that. And it's just really a phenomenal story. Dave was a great orator of it, and he was great at, putting these sketches to these Bigfoot sightings. And unfortunately, I think some of them now are lost to time, or going to be lost to time, which is very unfortunate. But
well, I think that's really important.
Fortunately, I have a packet that he gave me.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Awesome. Because we won't ever lose those. I mean, he did some really, I think that was some groundbreaking research with the two ones with that cut lip. It's almost to me like the footprints that I had found. Well, I had found one, and another researcher had found another, the same creature. I mean, I think stuff like that kind of proves more than just coincidence to this mystery, that, hey, we have a witness who saw this here. And then several years later, here's this witness seeing this one, not knowing about the first witness, reporting the same, deformity in the face of the Sasquatch. I think that says a lot as an investigator to me. That's like, hey, that's a huge, that's a big check mark that this is legit stuff, a legit phenomenon going on.
Yeah, the one with the cleft lip was referred to as the old man of the swamp. And it was around the Washington Springs area of Jamontville. And we actually, Dave and I met with the woman who had a sighting of the creature on the roadway. And she was leaving work from Nemacolin Woodlands, which is this very large, posh resort. She worked as a bartender, and it was after 2 a.m. She was driving home on Jamontville Road. And in the distance, she could see she thought it was a person walking down the middle of the road. She had her high beams on and came to almost a slow crawl behind this person, which turned out not to be a person. She described it someone in a Halloween costume with a horrible, scary Halloween mask, very tall, very hairy. And as she came up behind it, it slowly turned around and looked right down at her through the windshield. She got a really good look at the face before she drove around it and took off into the darkness. But very convincing witness. She actually moved to Florida after she had the sighting. And when she did the episode of Finding Bigfoot that was filmed in Fayette County, she flew up from Florida to retell her story on TV.
Wow. Yeah, that is, you know, it never ceases to amaze me, some of those stories. I mean, and I think that this area has some of the best ones out there as far as people who identified. I mean, the fact that a paramedic with her partner had seen one, the fact that, you know, you can corroborate it with another firefighter who had a sighting a year down the road. That's just tremendous.
Well,
yeah.
This area is also, there's a lot of UFO stuff going on in there, or had been UFO sightings.
Oh, there still is. Yes. Almost on a daily basis, Stan Gordon gets her UFO reports.
Now, one would think that that's probably not too unusual given the remoteness of the area, the lack of, depending on what, you know, what direction you're looking at. I'm sure, I know Uniontown is pretty bright city when you look at it. But if you're looking at the other area, opposite direction of Uniontown, going towards Chestnut Ridge, you know, you have a lot of zero light pollution, and you can see a lot.
Yeah.
And the skyline is a lot bigger than, and there's same instances in Whitehall like that as well.
Right.
Which is the reason why Whitehall has a very high sighting of UFOs as well, is because you have this. So to me, it's not, it's, you know, I know there's people like make correlations, but the correlation I like to bring out is look at the amount of, you know, unpolluted night sky you have to look at in these areas, as opposed to, you know, regular cities.
Yeah, if you're in town, man, you look up, you see some stars, but you're not going to be able to see as much if you're out in the middle of the country. No light pollution.
Yep. I think, you know, to me, this area is kind of like the Whitehall of Pennsylvania almost, because there's just so much Bigfoot activity that goes on. Now, Eric, do you see an area that could cause this to be a choke point, perhaps maybe between Pennsylvania and West Virginia?
I don't really get many things from West Virginia as far as sighting reports along the Chestnut Ridge. We've had them over the years, but nothing that shows that it is a direct connection. The sightings seem to be further north, although it is close to the West Virginia line. Getting up towards Smithfield, Fairchance, and further north, that's where a lot of this stuff is going on. Share a funny story with you. Tom Mihawk and I, we went up to the dairy part of the ridge, which is further north. It's almost to the northern end of the ridge. And we took his daughter up to a place up in Laurel Highlands State Park. And we wanted to take her out to an observation deck on this, I guess, the cranberry bogs. And we were out there past dark, and you're not supposed to be in state parks after dark, or you can get tickets from the park rangers. Well, as we were coming out, I went out before those guys, and I was waiting at the truck. And sure enough, 2 park rangers pulled in and were asking us what we were doing there. And we were talking about, you know, taking her daughter down to the observation point and showing her around at night. And they gave us a warning, said, we don't want you down here. You're not allowed to be in the park after dark. So we were getting ready to leave. And I just, out of curiosity, we were talking to them, and I think it was Tom that piped up and said, do you guys know of any Bigfoot sightings around here? And they kind of looked at each other for a second. And the one answered, he says, not so much around here as there is down in Fayette County. So that was kind of an odd answer for him to say that, but there you go. Fayette County, Uniontown, Hopwood, Fairchance, getting closer to the West Virginia state line. So whether or not they were humoring us, I don't know, or whether they were being honest with us, anybody's guess. But I find it rather interesting that they diverted us to Fayette County.
I like the honest park rangers, the ones that say, "Oh no, that's ridiculous. There's no such thing as Bigfoot." You can't trust those guys. But the guy that tells you, well, I've not seen anything, but several of the other guys claim to have seen something like you're talking about. That's the one you could probably believe.
I mean, the weird thing is when we did back in 2011, I had talked to the one forest ranger, or maybe it was 2012, talked to the one forest ranger. That was the vet. I had known him. He had been there for years. And, when I said, I know you probably think this is all ridiculous, us looking for Bigfoot. And he's like, oh, no, not at all. He goes, there's areas of these woods that haven't been touched by humans in hundreds of years. I mean, just like automatic.
Yeah.
And, that to me, and it was just so quick and so spontaneous that, I think there is this, they know something is out there because people keep reporting it.
Right.
They don't blow it off like our quote unquote skeptics do, trying to say, eyewitnesses make the worst available, Well, if eyewitnesses make the worst pieces of evidence, why are they so heavily relied upon in courts of law? Obviously, I've always said this. People see robbers run out of a bank. They never misidentify what species they are. It's not, they're always humans.
For every species that's been discovered that wasn't known to exist before, there was always the first eyewitness. Somebody saw it. The Billy ape. Somebody saw that.
Now, I have a quick question in this. You may know, you may not know, but I find it very interesting that there is a place called Gibbon Glade on the Chestnut Ridge. And that's right down there towards the center of the map.
Yeah, that's getting almost into Ohio pile. I don't know the history of it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's any relation to Bigfoot activity in the area. I've never received any reports from Gibbons Glade, but I did notice that too. And who knows?
If you notice, there's like a spot where the mountain range at the west is kind of like connected to the mountain range on the east there at that bottom part where it says Gibbon Glade. That's kind of interesting, like a little short valley between them. So that would be, I would think that would be a corridor of some type. That's interesting. I'm glad you pointed that out, Steve. I hadn't even paid any attention to it.
And from Wikipedia, it just says Gibbon Glade, not Gibbons Glade. Gibbon Glade.
Gibbon Glade
is an unincorporated community in Fayette County, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The community is 12.8 miles southeast of Uniontown. Gibbon Glade has a post office, which opened on February 8th, 1870, but nothing as to the origination of the name Gibbon Glade.
Okay, I'm going to mute out here because I'm going to be typing for a minute.
So there goes the doctor off and running on his, he's going to do a little research on if he can find out.
The Chestnut Ridge, the sightings that the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society has received over the last couple of years has kind of dropped off. We used to get sighting reports constantly, but now there's other researchers and research groups in the area, so we're not getting the reports that we used to get. And not only that, the fact that I stepped away from the PBS for a few years, but we're starting to get reports back again. And I've looked into a couple of sightings for 2023. Some actually fall right on the Chestnut Ridge in the northern part. And we've had a couple, Stan and I have investigated this year as well, that are pretty interesting cases, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it's nope, Chris cannot find it.
No, I was looking in my source of odd place names, and normally it'll come up and tell you. Like it was the same place I looked before when I got the Goblin Hollow here in Kentucky. I was like, why do they call it that? You know, are they seeing like something at night or something? And it turned out that one was just turkeys. Instead of spelling it gobbling, they spelled it goblin.
Well, I mean, how many times are Bigfoot vocalizations equated to sounding like gibbons?
Yeah, exactly. That's why you piqued my curiosity. I'm not going to give up. I'm just not going to do.
No, I mean, I'm not going to hold the farm that Gibbon Glade is named after due to Bigfoot events, but you know, similar to Ape Canyon, which was not named after the Fred Beck incident, it was named after a sports collective.
You planted the seed now, and it's going to bother me until I figure it out. I want to know why this place was named Gibbon Glade. It could be just, you know, some farmer named Gibbon used to live there. I used to live at a place called Legrand, and it was named after Legrand McGee, a local farmer that was very popular and everybody loved him. So they named the place Legrand.
Legrand.
No, Legrand.
Like I've always wondered, how did Ohio Pile get its name? Is it just like a pile of Ohio just sitting there in the middle of the
Well, I can tell you that Ohio Pile is known for its whitewater rafting, hiking trails. It's become a real tourist destination over the last few years, that people go to camp and ride the whitewater rapids down through the Youghiogheny down through there, and it's a nice place. They're building it up pretty nicely.
Oh, the whole area is gorgeous. You know, and again, State Game Lands number 51. That was the epicenter of the book, The Creature. That was where that had occurred. That's where the cabin was up in state, allegedly in State Game Lands. And the amazing thing is that you find so much of this information, and this is like the caveat of doing investigation sometimes you find a lot of stuff that says, hey, this is real. Look, we found the property. Here, look, there's a burned out cabin. There's the pond. It's right across from these cow pastures, what used to be cow pastures that he used to sit on his porch and look at. And you're thinking, this story is real. But then you start digging, and you're finding other things that are not making sense. And that's why it's so complicated sometimes to put together a good picture of a lot of these more historical type cases, like Ostman and Fred Beck and all of these others. Jan Clement, to me, falls into that classic type of storyline as well, where, you know, sometimes you're going to find stuff that's going to corroborate, but you're going to find stuff that does not make sense. And when you start,
a good writer. That's a good writer.
Right.
And just so you're aware, I'm sure you already know, State Game Lands 51 has a tremendous amount of sightings that have occurred over the years, not just during supposedly Jan Clement's time, but all the way up to present. In 2009, we were running around with our heads off, like chickens with our heads off, chasing reports. We were getting reports from Game Lands 51 almost once a week in that area. And we were running Dave and I were running all over the place down there investigating. It's a real beautiful area. You've only seen a part of it. You've seen the southwestern part of it, but it's huge. It's a very, very vast area of forest. And I've hiked a lot of it. And a lot of it I haven't explored yet, and I'm hoping to, but it's a huge area with still a lot of ongoing Bigfoot activity and sightings in that area.
And just by the way, Mike Ann wrote that Eric puts on an amazing event. If you can go, you should. The Camping Adventure is one of the reasons why I got into researching. If you attended, you will make some great friends. That is the very truth there too. It is an awesome time.
Thank you, Mike.
I can't say enough about it. I love going there. It's always a bunch of laughs. Hopefully this time I won't break any ribs.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Oh, that was quite the story. Is that my 2019? I was giving my lecture Sunday morning, and I got out of my cabin. I didn't realize it had rained the night before. So I hit the top step and down I went, all 14 steps. And my ribs hit every single staircase on the way down. Ended up flat in my back on the bottom of the staircase with my feet towards the staircase. I don't know how I spun around. Wind knocked out of me and everybody just standing there in the campground going. And finally I got up and I just muscled it out and I did my thing. I smiled. I had a good time. And then I had an 8-hour drive home that day. And luckily I had heated seats back then. So I could just put the heat on my busted ribs. And it took a couple of months, but still had a great time. Busted ribs and all. So
worst place to break something, a rib. That sucks. Can't even breathe good.
Only hurts when I laugh.
You laugh when it hurts.
Yep.
When you laugh, it hurts. When you breathe, it hurts. Move, lay on your side, hurts. Terrible.
Atlanta Clutch asks, are these recreational areas? Some of them are. And I think some of them are residences. There's residential areas, farm areas, and recreational areas all together in this whole area. Because while the state game lands are kind of nothing but forested areas, the areas surrounding it have residences and cabins and people that live there, and as well as other little, touristy recreation areas like, the rafting down at Ohio Pile.
I would be interested in
That's correct.
Researching if there are any universities that own property in this area.
All right, Martin McTie asks, are there large?
Good question, Martin.
Are there any large amount of encounters with hunters?
We have received reports from hunters in that area, yes. Some that have come forward publicly, some that have asked to remain anonymous and have just shared their details and don't want it published. So we've had our share of encounters, whether they be sightings or hearing vocalizations or finding footprints. Yeah, we've had our share.
Yeah, this area is really good. And Eric, we're going to go to 10:30 tonight, just so you know. The Stevester has been feeling a little under the weather last few days, and Chris knows about it.
Yeah. Don't push yourself, bud.
No. The good news is, if anybody's worried, the heart is good, the neurological systems are good, and the blood work is good. So I'm okay. I just feel a little under the weather. I think exhaustion is coming into play a little bit here, as Chris knows. Sometimes when you get to my age, you push yourself like you're 25 when you're approaching 55 next month. So, it's not as easy.
The brain still says you're 25, and the body says, "Oh no, buddy,
no."
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in case people are wondering, yes, I might as well just say it. Friday, I had an episode which landed me in the ER. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand without falling over because I was incredibly dizzy. And there's no explanation as to why or what caused it. But, they did put me on the good old EKG. They ran blood enzymes for my heart. They ran neurologics for stroke and all that wonderful stuff. And I was all cleared. So the body's working very well. Everything is normal. But whatever, the body is just not reacting so well to the increased work schedule that I have taken on in the last few months. And it's just starting to catch up with this old guy, unfortunately. So.
Now this is interesting. Billy says
I know that feeling.
There's a big whitetail lodge in Gibbon Glade. Lots of hunters there. Be a good place to talk to some hunters.
There you go.
Thanks, Billy. Great.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that.
Yep. And Mick told me not to eat the meatloaf.
Jay said he heard a couple sets of whoops at the cabin. Eric put him up at 2 a.m. in 2019.
Yeah, we put him in a cabin off site of Benner's. It was Jay, my wife and I were staying there. Jay and his son were staying there. And I think maybe Ricky Chirby stayed there. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It was 5 years ago. But there was a bunch of us staying there. And he was at the cabin. We all went to bed. He went outside to smoke a cigarette. And while he was out on the front porch, the garage, which is maybe 25 yards from the house, he heard two very loud whoops emanate from just behind the garage that night. So, yeah, pretty interesting. And there's stuff that, like I said, there's stuff going on the ridge all the time. I can't guarantee people are going to have a Bigfoot encounter when they're up there, but you're in prime territory.
When you're out there investigating,
it's a good area to get out there and see for yourself.
Yeah, when you're out there investigating and doing a follow-up on a sighting report and you hear some vocals up on the ridge, that's a pretty good location. It's worth a look.
Yeah, for sure.
And I lost my train wreck of thought. But it was in Benner's, I think the year before that, 2017, where I had gotten the therm of the bear.
Mm-hmm.
The team was walking in and we heard something and I got the therm up and the bear at that time was standing there looking at us and it was probably about 150 feet away. And the bear dropped and ran off and you could see the bear's hindquarters undulating, which kind of told us it was a bear.
That's the one where like you're standing there and you turn around and it's standing back there behind you.
Well, that wasn't me that was turning around. That was actually Sean Dennis that was in the video there. That he turned around and looked because we had heard it moving, and that's why I put the flare up, and then Sean heard it and he turned, and that's when it dropped down and ran off. That's
one of those moments you hear a noise and you turn the flare towards you and you see something standing up there about 7 feet tall. You're like.
and again, which tells me is that the FLIR may not prove a Bigfoot exists, but it's an incredibly good tool to determine what you're looking at.
Great tool, yeah.
That way, had we not had the FLIR, we would all thought, did we hear a Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Because we heard something moving around and run off. But instead, we could tell that, hey, in this case, it was a bear. So what's even more freaky is like the time, Mike and I had where Mike caught a glimpse of something, and then moments later there was a tree knock. That's
interesting. Yeah.
And that was all live on the podcast. So we have a lot of fun. We're going to probably try to do that again this year, is probably get out and do a live field X. And of course, as a lot of people know, this is going to be the last show of the year because the next two shows fall on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Yeah. And really, we want people to enjoy their time with their families and friends as well.
Right.
And Henry E. White Jr., welcome, sir. That's a new one in the chat. Welcome,
Henry,
welcome.
Good to see you. Welcome.
So what, obviously, you got a lot of planning going on with the camping adventure going on. Is there any more surprises coming, or is it pretty much hammered down now, Eric?
It's pretty much locked into place. Who's going to be there? As I mentioned, we're going to have Ken Gerhardt coming back. We're going to have Jeff Headley and Willie McQuillan from the Mountain Monsters show joining us, and Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot are our special guests. They're going to be there this year. We've got 8 great speakers. Dave Spinks, yourself, Steve, coming back. I think this is what, your 3rd or 4th year?
I've been there, I think, every year you've had it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so you're the veteran. Yeah, you and Jay Bachochin. He's going to be coming back. Brian Parsons is coming back again, his 3rd or 4th time. Stan Gordon, Ron Murphy, Kenny Biddle, Rick Fisher. Rick was there last year, a great researcher who researches the Albert Witch out in eastern Pennsylvania and does some Bigfoot work for the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society. So we've got a great lineup of speakers coming in. We've got Dave Wickham and Brian Bowden doing the workshops. We've got the night hikes on Friday night and Saturday night, where who knows what you'll run into the woods out there. Bear, possible Bigfoot, strange sounding owls, orbs of light. You never know what you're going to find out there in the woods. Yep. We've got Sasquatch Karaoke, which is happening for the first time. We're not going to have Walter Schrum back. We had him a couple years in a row, and we're going to try something different this year with Sasquatch Karaoke.
People get a chance to put Steve on the mic. I want a recording of that. I want a video of that.
If I can get a video of him singing, I will send it to you, Chris.
Please.
But I do want to mention this event, it's a charity fundraiser event. We don't benefit from the event. We donate all the proceeds after we pay for all the expenses. We donate the proceeds to a couple local charities, usually an animal shelter. And this year we're doing an animal shelter, and we're doing a charity that benefits underprivileged children so they can attend camp. So that's what we're doing it for this time around. We've always done that in the past. So we just try to give back to the community. We try to help people that want to learn about Bigfooting and what's involved, and they get to learn from some of the people in the field with experience, veteran researchers. They get to do hands-on workshops. They get to go out in the woods and experience what a night in the woods looking for Bigfoot is like. We've got it's family friendly, so it has something for everybody there. And I invite everybody to come out and check us out. PABigfootCampingAdventure.com is the website where you can get tickets. Tickets are starting to sell, so we have limited space, limited amount of tickets we're selling. So if you want to go, this is the time to buy them. They make a great Christmas present, a Bigfoot stocking stuffer, if you will. So get your tickets. Join us in September. Come out and meet Steve. Come out and meet Jay. Mike will be there. Mike Ann, Jay Bachochin, Billy Willard might actually make an appearance. I'm trying to talk him into coming up for the weekend to join us.
That would be awesome.
You never know who's going to be there. You never know who's going to be there.
Well, this is all the proceeds go to charity. That just proves to everybody, Eric, what I already know, that Eric Altman is a good man.
That's it. Amen.
I got you fooled.
Oh, man. And he's humble, too.
I was going to save this for our members, but we got to play at least one little jingle tonight.
Oh, share it. Do it.
Well, there's a guy named Ricky Dyer, likes to pull off Bigfoot hoaxes. He's got a trailer with laughter inside, but you can't trust anything he throws your way, unless you're a man in black, yeah. Ricky Dyer tells another tale. With your wild imagination, it's hard to stay sane. But we'll keep listening just for the laughs. Ricky Dyer, you're a legend in your own right. But we won't believe a word you say, alright.
All right, we just had to do that.
Oh, boy. I like that one. That's
so much for TikTok.
Oh man!
No, it's gonna be an awesome time, and I can't wait. And the wife is looking forward to it. We're gonna get Sherry out there too for it, so she's excited meeting you, Eric, and everybody else in the gaggle. And
well, I've already met Sherry.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think she's met Jay, or has she?
No, she hasn't met Jay yet. No. I don't think so.
Yeah. You know, and Jay is one of those funny guys, you know, when you connect with them, it's like just like you've known the guy your whole life. Jay is like one of those guys, you meet him, it's like you've known him for 20, 30 years after meeting him for 5 minutes. So that's really cool. And of course, the incomparable Brian Parsons, another troublemaker, usually in baseball uniform. And I can't knock him for liking baseball, but really, what's that team calling themselves now? The Guardians. Sounds like a bad hockey team.
That's not bad.
We got to start a little. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna be a great time, and I can't wait and to get back out there on the ridge with the pipelines and start snooping around there and you know, checking that area out. That's always exciting for me. Knowing that area's history. And, you know, who knows? Maybe the Men in Black will make another appearance this year. I remember the last year
they were there last year.
Yeah, I remember the year the Men in Black carting off Bigfoot. We caught that on video last time I was there, and you know, looking forward to seeing all our friends, and it's going to be a great time. And as far as us, you know, I want to, you know, obviously it's time for family and friends over the next few weeks as we enter the holiday season. And Eric, I'm glad you could join us on the last show of the year.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely want to get you on a few weeks prior to the Bigfoot Camping Adventure for any updates and stuff like that. And, you know, who knows, maybe we'll get Brian on and we'll get Jay back on before the year's up. We got a lot of shows in the works for next year. Already we have most of the month of January booked, including one of the speakers that's going to be at the Bigfoot Camping Adventure. Because I'm not going to make the announcements complete yet until after the first of the year. No, I make the meatloaf.
Steve makes the meatloaf, Nick.
But you know, we are going to be cutting a couple of videos of between now and the end of the year. We do have one that I believe our good friend the Vault of BS knows about. And so that should give some hint of what that video is going to be about. And we also have another video coming out in response. Funny thing is, the last video I cut, the last deep dive video I cut was about the picture that Chris helped discover as the template for what we had seen, that guy that submitted to me that was supposedly was my friend.
Yeah.
Well, apparently after about a month, we have some sort of rebuttal how this was all one big mistake. And
sure, certainly.
But we have some information about that as well. We will present his explanation and what we think of that explanation. So I think that's really important as well.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of things coming for next year. A lot more fun. I want to thank everybody that's here, our audience that we don't get to do very often.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for being here in 2023 with us. Look forward to seeing y'all in 2024. And we love you guys. And without you guys, there wouldn't be a show. Yeah, we have the best audience in the world. Amen to that. Everybody is very well grounded. For those that are new here, you will learn, and we try to put out some educational stuff while trying to have some fun. And we try to bring out the sanest, most plausible explanations to this mystery without going off on tangents into fantasy and to science fiction.
Wading through the woo so you don't have to.
That's right. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
So, Chris.
Steve, since this is going to be our last show of the year, I'm going to say some stuff. We never talk about religion or politics or anything like that on here, and mainly because we love everybody.
Right.
And personally, I'm a Baptist, a backsliding Baptist, and I've been married to a Buddhist for 20 years now. And so you can imagine some of the conversations we have in our home. But as we approach the holiday season, it's going to be Christmas for me. For some of our other friends, it's going to be Hanukkah. I think a few people, they what's that? Kwanzaa. They celebrate Kwanzaa, but it's the holiday season for everybody. And for those that don't celebrate anything other than being off work, okay, you can thank all of us for giving you that time off work. But you got to remember, hate is wrong. Hate is the religion of Satan or the bad guy, whichever religion you're following. Hate is the religion of the bad guy. So don't fall into it. And my religion is Jesus loves everybody, and he don't like killing, no matter what the reason's for. But be good to each other and love each other, and I think we'll have a better place. And I appreciate you guys. And I do love each and every one of you, and I'm proud. It's really, I cannot tell you how proud it makes me for you guys to come in here and spend your time with us every week. And I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And it's been a great year, 2023. Hopefully, 2024 will be even more fun. And, Steve and I both love you guys. And I'm going to say that I'll do my last spiel of the year. If it's your first time watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate you. It helps the channel. It helps the algorithm. We don't pay for, all these things where you, what do they call that, Steve? When you promote your channel, you buy like a bunch of ads and crap. Yeah, we don't buy that stuff. We only get known from people clicking like and sharing and subscribing. But
right.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and whatever other holiday you celebrate, Kwanzaa,
Ramadan, Hanukkah,
Ramadan,
Kwanzaa.
All that. Merry Christmas, and we love you.
That's it. And you know what? Whatever political divide you fall upon, we don't care.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to their opinions.
That's right.
This is the good old, well, for those that aren't in the U.S., we have a very, we used to, a very strong belief in, hey, whatever you believe religiously, whatever you believe politically, whatever the color of your skin, it don't matter none. You're all one of us. You're all brethren. And for those that are embroiled in hate, I'll say this. A lot of hoaxers think I hate them. A lot of people think I hate hoaxers. I don't. I personally don't really care. Now, are they the type of people I'd like to hang out with? No, because of their integrity. But that doesn't mean I hate them or even necessarily dislike them. But on that matter, a lot of their people will share the hate. They will automatically hate and go on the attack. I don't care. It doesn't matter me none. Just this last week, I got threatened by somebody trying to dox me because I wouldn't answer the phone. He threatened to put my phone number on Facebook for all to see. So you know what I did? I said, well, here, I'll do one better. I'll put my phone number up there. And I put my phone number up there. I don't live in a glass house.
No.
Am I a perfect human being? Far from it. No. But I can tell you this. I'll always give you the honest truth here.
Yep.
And that's what you guys deserve. That's, guys, what you will get here. I even love the dog man, LOL. Yes, I love the dog man. I have a big Seresto collar for him when I see him. So if I bump into him, I have a Christmas present, a big Seresto collar.
Hey, yeah, we're all dog people here. We love dogs. So if we run into a dog man, hey man, I got milk bone dog biscuit for him.
That's right. But needless to say, Eric, I want to thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you.
And I want to
Eric.
wish you a Merry Christmas. And I love what you do with your house every year, be it Christmas, be it especially Halloween. You go all tilt on Halloween. It's awesome. And
yeah, Halloween is my Christmas. That's what I celebrate.
Yep.
Yeah.
And but thanks again, my brother. Of course, stay in touch. You need anything, you holler at me. I'm here for you. And
thanks again, Eric, for coming on, man. It was honored to have you. It always is.
Amen.
Always enjoyable.
Amen.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you for having me on. It's great to talk to you again. And yeah, I'll be around a little bit more than I was this past year. Not a whole lot more, but I won't be hiding in the weeds like I was. But thank you again for having me on. Folks, come out to the camping adventure, PA-Bigfoot-campingadventure.com. And Steve, I will see you in September, my friend.
Amen. I can't wait. And, and I know for people, including myself sometimes, that sometimes, even in this mystery, things can weigh heavily upon the soul. Keep the faith. Keep searching. Keep on squatching. Do what you've always done. Don't let other people get you down. When you let other people get you down, when you let circumstance get you down, that's when you fail. And if you rise above it, that's when you succeed. So remember that, folks. Again, love you guys all. And hey, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you live on, I think, January 7th, 2024, first show of the year. And folks, thank you for making this show a success. Keep the word out there. Sharing is caring. I see a lot of new subscribers in today. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Share it with your friends. If you think this show is worthwhile, share it with your friends. Look at what we have in archive. Look at what we have done in the past. Share it. Sharing is caring, and it'll get the word out about this show. And we don't necessarily want to be the biggest show out there, but we do want to be the most accurate and the most truthful. And that's what's important to us, and that's our brand.
And we already got the best audience.
We sure do. So on behalf of me and Chris and Eric down there, everybody, have a great week. Stay safe. Keep healthy. And, of course, keep on squatching. We'll catch you all here January 7th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2024, right here on Squatch-D TV.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.